Catch us by way of Facebook, YouTube this morning, like we have those on the pews this morning. We believe God's going to do a mighty, mighty work through His Word this morning. Can I get amen? Amen. All right, let's give them a big old warm welcome this morning. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord, praise the Lord. Amen. Go with me to the book of Ruth this morning. Book of Ruth. Before 1 Samuel, before 2 Samuel, the book of Ruth. Still going to continue upon the lines of, we get very close to narrowing this thing down. About our thought patterns. Wow. The book of Proverbs, chapter 23, verse 7, you should know it by now. If you don't, write it down, go back and learn it. Wow. There's a little truth in amongst some scriptures that one of the smartest men ever was recorded it or wrote it in the Bible, and it was recorded. Amen. It says, for as a man thinks, or as a person thinks, as a human being thinks, so are. That's right. You are a result, or you are where you are because that's as far as your thinking has taken you. Amen. Come on. And you are as smart as you are because you have been taught up to this point. Come on, that's right. True. The point that you quit growing is the point that you quit getting instruction or receiving instruction. Amen. For as a man thinks, so is. My thinking determines what I am. Amen. Oh, amen. Yep. How many knows that you are your own worst critic or enemy? Oh, that's right. Your thinking is your worst enemy. Amen. It's not what Chad thinks about me that's my worst enemy. It's what I think about me. That's right. And if we don't change our thinking, we are limited. The brakes are on. Come on. No movement. I thank God that He brought us down this road to let us ponder on what we think about. Yep. Made us aware that I am a result of what I carry in my mind. Amen. The book of Ruth, chapter 1. You got it? Say amen. Amen. Stay right there just a minute. You'll find this in the book of Colossians chapter 3, verse 1. If then you. Who's he talking about when he says if then you? I think he's talking to me. Is he talking to you? Yes. If then you were, past tense, born again and raised up with Jesus. Amen. Anybody been born again? Yes, Lord. Thank you. Anybody climb up on that cross with Him? Come on. The Bible says, I have been crucified with Him. It's no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. I live by faith in the Son of God, who died for me and gave Himself for me. Amen. If you then were raised with Christ, seek or look for. Come on. If you don't look for something, you don't find it. That's right. Those things, I like that, plural. There's some things I need to be looking for. There's some things you need to be looking for too. Wow. If then you were raised with Christ, seek those things which are above. Amen. In other words, they reside somewhere else and you've got to look for them. That's right. Where Christ or the Anointed One is, sitting at the right hand of God. Listen to this. I just read you a scripture for you. I didn't know I was going to read that. That He has seated us in heavenly places with us. So it'd be easy to seek the things because we're sitting right beside the things we're looking for.
Amen. Come on.
Did you get that?
Yeah.
I like the way the Holy Spirit ties stuff together. I didn't even have a scripture for today's message. I had a message, but I didn't have a scripture. I woke up 4 o'clock yesterday morning. Bam! There it is.
Amen.
Verse 2. Set. Relocate.
Come on.
Reposition your mind.
Amen.
On things above. It's hard to reposition yourself sometimes.
Yes, it is.
We get comfortable and we get used to and we think this is the norm.
Come on. Amen.
We see my brother blessed, we see my sister blessed, and we're sitting over here wondering why we're not blessed because we've just grown and acceptable to what we have.
That's right.
Don't ever accept anything less than what God has promised.
Amen. Yes.
Do not, let me tell you, both by way of Facebook and YouTube, if you're accepting less than what God promised in His Word, it's your fault and not His fault.
That's right. Amen.
But brother, you're pretty stout about that. Well, I just say what He said.
Amen.
Take it up with Him. Set your mind on things above. And not on things of the earth.
That's right.
For you died. That's what happened when you got down and you said, Lord, I don't want this anymore. I want what you got. You died.
Amen.
You're supposed to have.
Thank you, Lord.
You're supposed to.
Yes.
Sometimes you don't.
Come on.
I mean, knows that old corpse sometimes will just come right along with you. If you'll let Him speak for you, talk for you, think for you, He will.
Yes, He will. Yes, He will.
Before you die, your life is hidden. See it? There's some stuff hidden that you've got to seek for.
That's right. Amen.
And if you don't look, you don't find the hidden stuff. Your life is hidden with Christ where you're seated at the right hand right now in God.
Amen.
Let me read you a little story this morning. Or tell you a little story. Maybe read a part of it and tell you the rest of it. What is fixing to take place here is a story of where the person that this story is about could have settled where they are. And whether you realize it or not, whenever you settle where you are and accept where you are, there's a possibility that you could miss out on the very best that God has for you.
Amen.
If you settle in sin, you can miss out on heaven.
Amen.
If you settle in sickness, you can miss out on healing.
Yes.
Or health, good health.
Come on.
I'll read you a little story here, and you've got to read the whole book. It's a very short book, but I'm just going to read you chapter 1 this morning, and I'm going to let you decide for yourself. Do you want to stay where you are, or do you want to move on? Let me tell you what happens here before I tell you this story. Until your mind goes a place, you can't go there.
That's right. Amen.
Until I get your mind somewhere, your circumstances are not going to change.
Amen.
Let me give you something that you can relate to. And I know my fishing people can. My people who travel across the United States with me. Until I can get my mind in Michigan,
Come on. That's right.
I can't get there.
That's right.
You know that's true? My mind has to get there. I have to make preparation for me before I ever leave Georgia. I have to get a mindset that I'm going to Michigan sometime in September, come hell or high water, or death in the family. I'm going to Michigan sometime in September because I know what's in Michigan for me when I get there.
Amen. That's right.
This year, my mind's on going to Florida. Until I can get my mind on them sandy beaches and get my thoughts wrapped around it, I'll never call down there and reserve me a room.
Come on. That's right.
The thing about us going to Michigan, though, is we've got to standing over. I mean, we got rooms, they just know we're coming back.
Amen.
They just go ahead and hold us a spot.
Amen.
But at any time, my mind can go elsewhere. Are you with me, church? At any time, my mind can go elsewhere. I'm reminded of the time we was on our way to Michigan, we see a Culver sign.
Yeah.
There's no Culver's in Georgia at the time.
Yeah.
Culver's is one of the best hamburger places around for fast food. And we're on our way to Michigan, and we see a Culver's sign.
Yeah.
Next exit. How many knows my mind's up at the fishing hole?
Come on. Come on.
But yet I could easily be distracted.
Yeah.
The same as with your life. There's things that you can be easily distracted by if you can't keep your mind where it needs to be. Can you relate to what I'm saying?
Amen.
Let me tell you about this. We got off on the exit.
Come on.
And that sign was beautiful. It was tempting. There's always a big old hamburger and a milkshake and some fries right there. And it's mouth watering. It looks enticing.
Yeah.
I'm going somewhere with this morning. If I can't get your mind somewhere and keep it there, you could be easily distracted.
Amen.
We get off on the exit. And rode around
Yeah.
and around
Come on.
and around. And have yet to find where that sign was trying to take us.
Amen. Come on. That's right.
Preacher, where are you going? I'm on my way to Michigan, but I've been distracted.
Yep.
You might be on your way somewhere with God,
Come on.
and something could look enticing.
Yep.
Something can look delicious to you. But if you don't have a mindset of where you're going and how you're going to, what you're going to do when you get there, you could be distracted. You could lose the point or place of where you're headed.
Amen.
I'm going to read you a story about a lady this morning that could have stayed where she was at or went part of the way and got distracted,
Come on.
or went where she decided to go.
Amen.
See, if I can't get your mind somewhere, you'll never get there.
That's right.
If I can't get your mind off of dope, you'll never get off of it.
Amen.
If I can't get your mind out of sleeping around, you'll never quit your sleeping around. If I can't get your mind on taking care of God's business and keep it there, you'll never take care of God's business.
That's right.
How many know the mind can help you or hurt you?
Amen.
I told you you're doing one of two things. Has anybody ever noticed that you're doing one of two things? You're either living back here where you don't belong,
Come on.
or your mind's projecting thoughts of what you could be in the future or days to come.
Yep.
Now it came to pass, how you like that? This is a true story.
Yes, it is.
A true story out of the Bible, out of God's Word. Now it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled that there was a famine in the land. There was hard times, no food. And a certain man of Bethlehem of Judah went to dwell in the country of Moab, he, his wife, and 2 sons, 4 of them. Now the man's name was Elimelech, and his wife was Naomi, and the name of his 2 sons were Mahlon and Chilion. Ephrathites of Bethlehem, Judah. They went to the country of Moab and remained there. They went on searching for food, provision. Then Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, And she was left with her 2 sons. Now her 2 sons took wives of the women of Moab. The name of one was Orpah, and the name of the other was Ruth. And they dwelt there 10 years. Then Mahlon and Chilion, the 2 sons, also died. And the woman survived of her sons and her husband. Verse 6, are you still with me?
Amen.
Sound like this story's went downhill.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to go downhill, back up the hill,
Come on.
to find out where you're supposed to be.
Amen.
Then she arose with her daughters-in-law that she might return or leave the country of Moab. Listen to this. Check this out. Are you still with me?
Amen.
For Naomi heard.
Come on.
That'll come back into play here in just a minute. For Naomi heard that while she was in the country of Moab, the Lord had visited or blessed his people by giving them bread. She had heard back over in the land of where Elimelech and her had left and her 2 sons that God had blessed them. And they were able to raise up wheat and barley once more. And there was bread and food or sustenance over there where they come from, in Bethlehem and in Judah. Therefore, listen to this. Therefore she went out from the place where she was.
Amen.
You've got to hear.
Come on.
You've got to respond.
Yeah.
Whenever you get a word, you've got to put feet on that word.
That's right.
The word can come to 100 people. But until 1 or 2 out of that 100 does something with the word won't profit them.
That's right.
I believe it tells over that in the book of Hebrews, the word that was preached to them was mixed with faith.
Amen.
Faith is doing something about what you've heard.
Amen.
Might for show of hands. How many likes to hear a good word?
Amen.
How many likes to hear an encouraging word?
Amen.
How many likes to hear a challenging word? A word that challenges us. It makes you, it kind of holds you guilty and responsible of what you just heard.
Come on.
Therefore, she went out from the place where she was. See, sometimes you just got to move.
That's right.
Just got to move. This lady, she didn't have to. She could have just easily gave up.
Yep.
She went out from the place where she was, her and her 2 daughters-in-law with her. Listen to this. The 3 women, and they went on their way to return to the land of Judah, where she had heard that God had visited his people once again and there was bread to eat. And Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, go, return each to her mother's house. The Lord deal kindly with you as you have dealt with the dead and with me. You've been good girls, you've been good daughter-in-laws, but I think it's time that you actually go back home. And I pray that the Lord would grant you to find rest, each in the house of her husband. She said, what she's telling them here says, there's no sense, you're still young. Go back and get you another start and find rest and peace. Go to your mother's house. Let the Lord deal kindly with you. The Lord grant to you that you may find rest each in the house of her husband. So she kissed them, and they lifted up their voices and wept. And they said to her, surely we will not go back or return. Surely they said to her, she will no, let me start over here. They lifted up a voice and wept, and they said to her, surely we will return with you to your people. But Naomi encouraged or said, turn back, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Are they still sons in my womb, that they may be your husbands? Turn back. Always somebody wants you to turn back.
That's right. Come on.
Turn back, my daughters. Why will you go with me? For I am too old to have a husband. For if I should say in hope and have hope that I should have a husband tonight and also bear sons, would you wait for them till they were grown? Would you restrain yourselves from having husbands? No, my daughters, for it grieves me very much for your sake. The hand of the Lord has gone out against me. Then they lifted up their voices and wept again. And Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye.
Amen.
This is the last you hear about her.
Yep. Come on. That's right.
The last you hear. But
Amen.
Ruth clung to her. Sometimes you just got to latch on to something.
That's right. Amen.
And you know what she has latched onto here? A word
Yep.
that somebody else
That's
has
right.
responded to.
Amen.
Sometimes if you ain't got a word for yourself, if you see somebody that's headed somewhere, you just need to latch onto them, because if they've got a word, they're going to get you somewhere where you need to be.
Amen.
Sometimes you just got to be a support ministry.
That's right. Amen.
Sometimes you just got to support somebody that's got a word.
That's right.
We'll preach on that another time.
Come on.
See, Ruth didn't have a word.
Nope.
Naomi had the word.
Amen.
Verse 15. Naomi looked at her. Look. Naomi said, look, your sister-in-law has gone back. This is one of the times that you just don't do what everybody else does.
That's right. Come on.
Look, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and to her gods. Return with your sister-in-law. Verse 16. But Ruth said, entreat me, or quit telling me to go back.
Amen.
My mind is made up. It's something about a made up mind.
Come on. Amen. That's right.
You ever get your mind set on something?
Yep.
And when your mind's set on it, the next thing you know, how many know right now, and I done mentioned this a while ago, that sometimes that we are a product of what we've thought so far.
Yep.
But when we get our mind set on it, we use it. That's how things come into existence. Is I get a thought in my head that I want to have something come hell or high water, and whatever it takes to make that something materialistically or material thing happen to me, I will jump through hoops backwards blindfolded to get my hands on what my mind's set on.
Amen.
Oh, if we could ever get our mind set on something spiritual.
That's right.
She said, I will not go back. Quit telling me to. from following you because you have got a word.
That's right.
Listen to this. Entreat me not, quit telling me to go back, or turn back from following after you, for wherever you go,
Yep.
if you're in it, I'm in it. Oh, if we could ever get to that mindset.
Come on, that's right.
We'll throw this out there. You know how I'm about throwing stuff out there. The shoe fits where it, you don't chunk it over the yard sale pile.
That's right.
Sometimes we'll get on board with somebody
Yeah.
and agree to go with them
Come on.
because they've got a word. But whenever they get somewhere and it don't look like it's paying off,
Yeah. Amen.
I believe you got a word, but it's from a different source, they'll say.
Yeah. Amen.
She said, quit telling me to go back. I believe that you've got a word and I'm going to go with you. And wherever you go, I'm going to go. And wherever you sleep or lodge or stay, I'm going to stay.
That's right.
Now, I don't know the amount of mileage or the geographical area that had to be covered from where they were to where they were going, but sometimes it's a little bit of distance from where you get a word and where you follow somebody until you get to where you belong.
Amen.
Don't give up on the journey.
True.
Listen to this. Your people shall become my people.
Amen.
I don't know if you understand this. The Moabites had no right to the promises of God.
Amen.
They had no promises to the rights of the things of God. The only way they could be tied into the promises of God is if them two boys hadn't have died.
That's right.
Once they died, the promises of God were not in effect to them. For wherever you go, I will go, and wherever you lodge, I will lodge. Your people will be my people, and your God and provider, the great Jehovah Jireh, will become my great Jehovah Jireh.
Amen.
You think people's not watching who you walk with and who you follow?
That's right.
Where you die, I will die. And there I'll be buried. This is it. Boy, if we could ever get that about the ministry. I'm in it till the end.
Amen. Come on.
Bitter or sweet, I'm in it to the end.
That's right.
And where you're buried, I'll be buried. If it's a long little journey of life before we ever get there, that'll be fine, she said. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if anything but death parts you and me. Sometimes you just got to latch on to something and ride it out to the bitter end.
Amen.
But right here, there's not going to be a bitter end.
That's right.
Verse 18. When Naomi saw that she was... What does King James say?
Steadfastly minded.
What? Tell me again.
Steadfastly minded.
Her mind was fixed on it.
Amen.
Oh, if we could ever get our mind fixed.
That's right.
And keep it fixed. Lord, help us all.
Amen. That's right.
I mean, know sometimes along the journey of where you're going, where God's promised you, you can be distracted.
Yes.
Your mind that was once fixed can become unfixed.
That's right.
says in the New King James she was determined.
Amen.
There's something about determination. I know if I'm determined about something, my mind's fixed on it, steadfastly fixed, it consumes me. You ever been consumed with something? Tell me, and it consumes me. I mean, it just consumes me. Boy, if we could ever get our mind consumed on the promises of God and the walk that God has for us, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth begins to speak. Let me tell you, if we could ever get our mind fixed on things of God. When Naomi saw that Ruth was determined to go with her, check this out. What did she say? She stopped discouraging her or stopped speaking to her in a negative manner. I see that your head is fixed upon this thing. Now the two of them went until they came to Bethlehem. Hey, like this. And it happened.
Amen.
If we could ever get to one of them and it happened moments.
That's right.
How did it happen? Because she made it happen.
Yes, she did. Amen.
Orpah did not make it happen. You're going to have to read the rest of what happens when you make good choices and you stick with them. When you get your mind set on something. Now the two of them went and came to Bethlehem, and it happened as they come to Bethlehem that all the city was excited because of them. And the women said, "Is this Naomi?" But Naomi still, she's got her mind in the gutter. She's got her on a pitiful pity trip. And she said to them, "Do not call me Naomi, call me Mara, for the Almighty God has dealt bitterly with me. He's killed my sons, he's killed my husband since I left. I went out full, she did not. She went out empty."
Amen. Yep.
She went out with her husbands and sons, but she went because they didn't have anything. She says, "I went out full and the Lord has brought me home empty." Let me tell you, if you know the rest of the story, if you've read the book of Ruth, she was more full now. And going to be more full in a few days than she had ever been in her life. You got to read it for yourself. She said, "Do not call me Naomi, call me Mara, for the Almighty has dealt bitterly with me. I went out full, and the Lord has brought me home again empty. Why do you call me Naomi, since the Lord has testified against me, and the Almighty has afflicted me?" So Naomi and Ruth, the Moabitess, her daughter-in-law with her, who returned from the country of Moab, now they came to Bethlehem, fixing to close. And it was the beginning of something new.
Amen.
Sometimes you just got to pick up and move.
That's right.
To find your new beginning. It says the beginning of harvest, barley harvest. But if you read and keep reading the story, the barley harvest is what brought a new beginning for these two.
Amen.
Naomi was bitter, but she gets better. Ruth was determined. Her mind was set. And I'm going to throw this out there. How many's going to go home and read the rest of the story? many's read it before?
Amen.
Never? In Moab, she don't find her Boaz.
That's right.
In Jerusalem, because her mind was set to go to Jerusalem, she finds her Boaz. Boaz is her dream. What are you dreaming for?
Come on, that's right.
What are you looking for? You think you're going to find it where you're at? No. You need to get your mind set
Amen.
that I'm going where God wants me to go. Set your mind on things above, where Christ is seated and I'm seated there with him. I pray that something's been said to encourage you this morning.